Pitcher, there's nobody that loves to face Aroldis Chapman.
I would agree. On their feet again. 0-2. Struck him out. Chapman strikes out the side in the 10th. Cubs will try to win it when we come back. Tied at 4.
Jack Link's Jerky presents Working Out with Sasquatch. The cornerstones of any serious fitness program are exercise, diet, sleep, pectorals, and hair, all of which are part of Working Out with Sasquatch and protein-packed Jack Link's Jerky.
Protein, amino acids, good for the hair muscles.
Fan! Jack Link's Jerky, a protein-packed snack packed with protein.
Some things are simply impossible to ignore. The strikingly designed Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid, the SUV that dares to go beyond utility. Lease the 2016 NX Turbo with zero due at signing for $419 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
I'm a big fan of my Bank of America mobile banking app. I can manage my accounts, deposit checks, get alerts, pay my bills, and more. I'm a big fan of this team, too. In fact, I tried out to be the mascot. Apparently, I'm overqualified. I do not have an overbite.
Elmore stays in and plays second after batting for Jeanette. And veteran right-hander Blaine Boyer will handle the pitching. 10th inning, 4-4.
Yeah, Boyer's been around a good while now. He's on for the 57th time this year. He's pitched to a 4.06 ERA. What really gets your attention when you look at the numbers on Boyer, the low strikeout total. 62 innings pitched. He's only struck out 24. He's allowed a 305 batting average. Just the 3 home runs.
So Miguel Montero will lead it off.
Boyer is the 7th Brewer pitcher here this afternoon.
Anderson, Barnes, Suter, Marinez, Knebel, Torres, and Boyer. Cubs have only used 3: Lackey, Pena, and Chapman. And a strike.
Lackey gets off the hook. No decision for him. Likewise for Anderson, the Brewers starter. These guys were pretty darn good here today.
If we go to the 11th, looks like it'll be Hector Rondon. Drive to left, deep, back at the wall, Braun. Game over. Cubs win. Cubs win. Time to celebrate.
Ah, that's the way to do it. Clinch last night. Couldn't celebrate on the field, but a walk-off win in 10 innings here today, and let the party begin. Boy, what a late resurgence for Miguel Montero.
They're going to have some fun with this one, I think. The NL Central champions can celebrate after a win.
Yep, the scrum at home plate. They've rolled out the championship T-shirts and hats.
So they'll get their postseason T-shirts and caps.
Feels better this way. They're going to celebrate anyway. And last year, a similar thing happened when they clinched the wild card. It happened overnight. Came out the next day, lost the ball game. Had one heck of a party. Here they get to celebrate the win and the division championship.
Congrats to the Ricketts family, the entire organization, Theo Epstein, Jed Hoyer, and the entire baseball operations staff. A lot of people behind the scenes who do a lot of work to get this team prepared on a daily basis. Manager Joe Madden and his coaching staff. And right now, JD, it's all about these players.
Yeah,
what a year.
It is. But I'm glad you mentioned the coaches, because sometimes they're overlooked, and those guys work long and hard, and they're a big piece of this as well.
Chapman gets the win today. He looked pretty dominating as he struck out the side in the 10th. Lane Boyer takes the loss. Cubs now 94-53. Very small handful of fans left after this game went to the 10th, but just about everybody stayed, and nobody wants to leave. Going to party into the night here in Wrigleyville.
There's Kyle Schwarber down there in the middle of it. His teammates have been very good about keeping him involved, and what no doubt has been a bitter summer for him to have to watch all this unfold.
Leila Rahimi, take it away.
Joined by Wilson Contreras, you're taking part of this celebration. What is this like for you right now?
This is an amazing feeling. I knew that once I get here, we were going to the postseason. I came here to do my best to help my team, and we do the little things today. We never give up.
You're right. You were part of the rally that started this comeback in the 9th inning, able to get an extra base hit. What was that rally like for you and for you guys to be able to capitalize?
Like I say, I never give up. I'm gonna battle every single pitch. I'm gonna have a good at-bat out there, and that's what I did my last two at-bats.
Congratulations, Wilson. Go celebrate. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Guys, back up to you.
Thank you, Leila. What a story he has been here in 2016. People ask us what's been the best story. You come up with about 12 different answers. You go, oh yeah, what about this guy? We didn't know if or when Wilson Contreras would get to the big leagues, but not only is he here, he's a big part of this thing.
Yeah, you know, Joe Madden was asked a lot early on about Wilson Contreras, and he basically said sooner or later he's going to be here. Our best guess was he'd be a September call-up, but he obviously tore things up at AAA, and his skill set is obviously quite impressive with that throwing arm. We've seen him flash it from behind the plate and from out in left field. He's got patience at the plate. He has power, unbridled enthusiasm. The pitchers that have worked with him have said that he's made great strides in terms of game calling. They're very comfortable with him behind the plate. Looks like a star in the making.
So we're going to gather on the pitcher's mound for a team photo with the W flag.
It's an annual tradition.
I love Montero right in the middle in front of that W after hitting the home run.
There's Pedro Strop. He threw a bullpen yesterday. He's on the mend. Should be back soon. always a teaching moment for the manager of the club on the other side of the field. Say, keep an eye on it, boys. This is where you want to be someday.
What a group. Layla has the manager, Joe Madden. Go ahead, Layla.
Joe Madden, describe this moment right now on the field.
Well, it was kind of nice to do it this way here today. After having lost yesterday, but still being able to clinch. It's nice to do it in front of the fans. Even though we're in the playoffs fully, to do it like this in front of our amazing fans is kind of neat.
We've talked all season about your team finding a way to win. This is an excellent example to be able to do the right things. Wilson Contreras said that in the late innings to get this win and really give the fans what they wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to come back with 2 runs, had a chance to score the 3rd one, didn't get it done. Araldis comes in and really fires it up by the way he pitched. And, of course, Miggy's been swinging the bat really well over about the last 3 weeks to a month. That's the perfect Miggy spot right there.
You want to enjoy this moment, I know, but there's still so much work to do. How do you balance the emotion with what's ahead?
Oh, you just celebrate today, and tomorrow we'll start talking about a little bit more earnest, but for right now, just celebrate.
Joe Madden, congratulations on the Central
Thank you,
Championship.
everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the time. Guys, back up to you.
Good stuff. Thank you, Layla. Yeah, Joe's all about celebrating the victories because there's so much failure in this game. The old adage is if you're a 300 hitter, you make 7 outs out of 10. But it has really resonated with this young group, hasn't it?
Well, we talk, and I think probably the adjective they used most to describe Joe Madden, both before he got here and since we've gotten to know him really well, is unconventional. And it is unconventional in that for a billion years in baseball, the cliche has been, hey, you don't get too high, you don't get too low, even keel, yada, yada, yada. Well, Joe's philosophy is, well, yeah, you go ahead and you do get very pumped up when you win. You celebrate the wins. You go ahead and show some emotion, and you let go of the losses. You just, hey, move on from there. That's his approach. It works. We've seen him do so many different things the way he deploys his players. We've seen pitchers in left field. We've seen some crazy defensive alignments. He's a real forward-thinking guy, and he's been the perfect fit.
Back down to the field with an MVP candidate standing by.
Anthony Rizzo, you get to experience this moment on the field. The rally begins in the 9th and then follows up in the extra innings. Describe the win along with the emotion.
Great win. Lackey battle today. And we were down there in the 9th. We could have gave it in, but that's not what we do. We built that up throughout the years here, and it's a good win for us. And to win like that, we knew we were celebrating afterwards, but to win, it just makes everything better now. Yeah,
before the game, you guys went onto the field, took your hats off, acknowledged the crowd. Tell me about that moment and then being able to build on that with what happened here just now.
It's our support to the fans. They support us all year. They supported us ever since I've been here when it wasn't as glory days like the song's playing right now, but it's just it's appreciation to them and what they've done, and they fuel us every day here, and it's a true home field advantage. Wrigley Field is one of the most true home field advantages there is.
Yes, and you guys enjoy that record. Now, you mentioned being here when this team didn't have this record. They weren't this successful, so to make the playoffs now back-to-back seasons, to take the division like you did so early in the season, given what has happened to you over the years, what does that mean?
It means a lot, and we battled all year. We got off to a good start, and we maintained it all year, and it's good. It's really, this team has grown a lot this year, and we're going to continue to grow and get better and keep this thing going for as long as we can.
You've been a great teammate to your team, but also to the city of Chicago. You guys supported the Blackhawks. You've seen what they do. How did that inspire you?
I mean, you just see them at parade after parade, and it's awesome. That organization has built pretty much a dynasty there, and it fuels us. You want to be there. You want the parades, and this is the first stepping stone to where we want to go.
Favorite moment about the on-field celebration so far?
Probably hugging John Lester, Rossi, just hugging all the guys and saying congrats to all of them.
Congrats, Anthony. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Guys, back over to you.
Thank you, Layla. I think the other thing these last couple of years, there was, I think, a lot of pressure, and I think Anthony put it on himself, right? After a lot of veterans were traded away to be kind of the voice in the clubhouse, to be the leader, and he is. You know, he's the main ingredient, as you called him, in spring training of this club. But I think to add some other veteran guys to take a little of that pressure off him and just let him go out and be an all-star and an MVP candidate.
Yeah, and I think, you know, maybe early on in his career it was forced a little bit because he thought that's what was expected of him. And I think he has evolved. He's matured as a player. Now he gets it. It's just, hey, man, just go out and play hard, lead by example. And you're right. And, you know, you bring in guys like David Ross. And this team is interesting because most clubs that I've been on and around, when you talk about leaders, it's usually just the position players. You know, pitchers are kind of a breed unto themselves. But guys like, you know, Lester and Lackey, with all their experience, they're real leaders on this ball club as well. So it's a great mix of tough-minded guys that go about it every day. You know, I know that's a tired cliche, but that's true. That's the nature of the sport. It's an everyday endeavor. And these guys come out here every day with, you know, what do we need to do to win today's game? And not much more than that. It's a very simplistic approach.
All right, Layla, you have Tom Ricketts. Take it away.
I do have Tom Ricketts. Tom just celebrating on the field, and you got to enjoy this game as well from the fan standpoint. It's all over the internet. So tell me, what was that like when you got to watch the game from the bleachers?
Oh, I've been out to the bleachers a lot, but it was great to see all the baseball guys out there. We had a few beers and had a great time. But, you know, really, everything we do and everything that happened here this season and this day is all about the fans. You know, without the fans, we have nothing. And we have the best fans in baseball, and this place is the best ballpark in baseball, and that's all that really matters.
For your team to be able to earn this Central title so early in the season, what is the significance of that? What you guys have worked on, the baseball guys in the front office, and the ownership group as well, to have this moment as early as it is right now?
Well, you know, I think it all just speaks to how hard everybody on the baseball side works and getting the right guys in place to execute the plan. And we got great players. We got a great manager. We have a great baseball organization from Theo on down. We have a great business organization, too. You know, it all adds up. It's all a piece of one giant puzzle, and it's starting to come together.
We've seen extra innings out of this team, the way they fight, the way they find a way to win. They did it again, gave their fans something to watch today. What was it like for you?
Well, all season long, if you notice, when we win by 6. When we lose by 1. So we've always fought. We've always kept games close. It's a tribute to pitching. It's a tribute to the bullpen, tribute to the way Joe manages, tribute to the players on the field. But the key is that this team scraps every day. And today was a great example of that.
You mentioned the fans. Anything else you want to say to them?
All I know is, you know, everything that we do from here on out, I mean, last year in the playoffs, this year in the playoffs, as we drive toward that World Series, it's all about fans. People stuck with this team when we went through some tough years. Nobody left. Everybody hung out and waited. They trusted us, and I just want to pay them back.
We appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the celebration. Thank you for sharing with us, Tom.
I'm not going to celebrate. I'm going to go home and rest. No, I'm just kidding.
Whatever you need. Thank you so much. Now, guys, back over to you.
That's great stuff. Tom Ricketts, Cubs executive chairman. I mean, every day he walks around the stands, talks to fans. And I'm sure there are people watching us right now who have a story about running into the face of the franchise in terms of the ownership group. He loves this team. He listens to fans. And the other thing, too, JD, that needs to be said about Tom Ricketts is he hires great people and he lets them do their job.
Yeah, the model is outstanding. I mean, from the ownership on down, the way they have operated their business, you know, bringing in very smart baseball people, Theo Jed, and on down the line, Jason McLeod, Randy Bush, Shiraz Raymond. They've got just a very talented front office. And bringing Joe Madden in to kind of pull everything together with all these young players. And the thing I like about it, there's a lot of people that are in ownership in baseball that don't really get the game. They don't understand the game. They're kind of enticed by the idea of owning a major sports franchise, and I get that, but they aren't fans at heart. And Tom is, obviously he's a fan first. He's a guy who used to sit out here in the bleachers. That's where he met his wife, hanging out there drinking a beer in the bleachers, watching the Cubs play ball. I mean, how good is that story?
The party room is open, and that was another great addition. Actually, that's the clubhouse. So I think they're in the main clubhouse now.
Clubhouse / discotheque.
They've got it tarped off to make sure tomorrow it smells nice and fresh when they walk in. But there's a group that loves to celebrate, and no danger in celebrating a lot now because we've got a long way to go before we get to the division series. And a few of the regulars may get tomorrow off as well. That's the other thing, the lineup today, right? You had a lot of bench players in there. Cubs trailed for much of the day, but they found a way to pull it out late.
Yeah, and we talked about in the pregame, that was predetermined. It wasn't because they clinched last night with the Cardinal loss. This is what Joe wanted to do today, to use all those reserves because of coming off the long road trip. So where you may see another altered lineup tomorrow, I think that will be more about we've clinched, we celebrated, and we're going to give some of our everyday guys another day off before running them back out there.
Well, let's check out our hefty home run. We saved this particular segment for last because we just had a feeling, right? And his last 2 game-ending home runs have been almost in the same spot against the Milwaukee Brewers. Remember, we were in the bleachers last year in August?
Yeah, that's right.
Montero hit a game ender. Well, he did it again today.
Yeah, he's as Joe mentioned, the last 3 weeks to a month, he's really turned things around, and a lot of it has been the ability to not just hit the ball the other way, but to drive the ball the other way. So I think there was a time when Montero was really teetering on the edge of not being on the playoff roster, and I'm not guaranteeing it, but my sense is he's going to be on it.
Yeah, I think Joe likes the idea of 3 catchers. John Lackey enjoying the celebration. And I guess, as he would say, the big boy game starts soon, right?
That's right, yep. His comment earlier this year, when the big boy games start, I'll be ready to go.
A lot of fans still hanging around, and I would imagine in Wrigleyville as well. Let's go down to Kelly Crow.
With or without goggles.
The outcome was inevitable, but how gratifying to finally be popping the champagne and celebrating.
Well, it's nothing better after a win, though. We were going to celebrate it regardless, but it feels even better when you win a ball game. I mean, it's all about winning, and we did it today. We came back, we played a heck of a game, and that's what I tell you. That's what we won the division, because we played every day, 9 innings hard, and we never give up, and we got the results.
I know these champagne showers never get old. For you this season and what you'll remember about this team so far, what will that be?
Well, I mean, we play all year long good, but good teams when they go through bad times, and we went through a tough time, we never panicked. We knew we were capable of doing, and we stuck with them, and we got out of the slump a little bit, and we kept on riding.
I know this is the first step to what is the main goal for you guys. Where does the attention turn to now in the next couple weeks to be ready for October?
Well, the main goal is just keep playing hard, keep winning games. I mean, we want to add it up. We don't want to just
feel the burn, Mickey.
Yeah, it feels good because it was hot out there. We just don't want to take anything for granted. We just want to keep playing, and we want to, keep proving people that we're really good. So I said it last year won, and I guess I wasn't wrong about it.
Awesome. Enjoy this one today. Have fun.
Thank you.
Kelly, thank you. Miguel Montero with the big home run today. Cubs still have 15 games to go, and they're inching toward 100 wins, maybe hurtling toward 100 wins, because they've got 94 on the year.
Yeah, the only other box they have to check now is to make sure they have the best record, the best overall record in the National League, so they have home field advantage up till the World Series, and they're in commanding position to do that.
One of the new Cubs, Ben Zobrist with Kelly.
It's such a long season, and you know what, these guys worked really hard all year to get to this point. You know, now we're in the postseason. We can start focusing on that, but you know, it's been a long road just to get to this point, so it's great, especially for the guys that have never done this before.
Yeah, tell us how it's supposed to go in here, even though you have a much bigger goal in front of you.
Well, you blow it out for this day, you know. Got to really enjoy it because winning a division is very, very difficult in the major leagues, and especially the Central that we're in. It's a good division, and to be able to win this division is huge. I think we really kind of dominated all year long in the division. That's why we're at this point. So we know we got a lot of things we still want to do, but right now we're going to celebrate this.
What's the biggest challenge in the next couple weeks then to staying sharp and yet still getting the rest this team needs?
The biggest challenge is just staying in the moment, still trying to produce, still trying to win games. We don't want to get lazy or complacent at all. I don't think we will with this group. You know, these guys are all really focused, and we're focused on being ready when we come to the postseason.
And you did such a good job holding that together. I know who you need to go get back, though. It was Miguel Montero.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, man. Guys.
Thank you, Kelly. So the Cubs celebrating a division championship. They clinched late last night when the Cardinals lost in San Francisco, but they waited to celebrate until after today's game, and good thing they did, because it was one of the more thrilling extra inning wins the Cubs have had this season. They've kind of specialized in the game tying and game ending wild pitch pass ball, but you love that home run to the bleachers.
Yeah, everybody rises up and watches that ball fly out of the ballpark, and party on.
Javier Baez with Kelly.
You went with the goggles this time around, Javi. What did you learn from last year?
Ooh, it really burns. It's already burning. It's already burning, bro. You got to use them.
But honestly, how different does this feel in comparison to a year ago, because you're clinching here in mid-September?
Well, for us, it's still really excited. You know, we having fun, we're winning, we're living our dream.
What so far will you remember about the journey to this point and this afternoon?
I can't really hear you. What's up?
What will you remember about this journey so far with this team and getting to this point?
Oh, last year, you know, obviously, we went pretty far. We had good season, and hopefully this year we go farther.
Okay, where does the mindset turn from here to be ready by October?
Oh, we're ready for October. You know, obviously, keep going with the games that we have, and then ready for the playoff.
All right, Avi, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I loved how he answered the question as he was being sprayed.
Yeah, he hung in there, didn't he? How about we got fans with goggles on out there?
Yeah, well, they're
getting ready.
Prepared. You like that, too. You don't ever get used to it, right? You don't want to be complacent and assume it's going to happen. You want to celebrate all your successes, but I think being there last year, when we talk about postseason experience, we don't know how much it helps, but it can't hurt to have been there before, right?
Correct. I'm with you. I think experience in many facets of sports is overrated, overplayed. But I think it can matter, and I think the fact that a bunch of these guys have been through it before certainly can hurt, as you said. Will it be a determining factor in a series down the road? I don't know. But the fact that, you know, guys have been in situations where they've had big, meaningful at-bats under the bright lights of the postseason, and they're able to control the heart rate, able to kind of hang in there and have a good at-bat, or, you know, make a big pitch under duress, that's very important.
All right, back to Kelly in the clubhouse.
Hector's rolling around here with 2 bottles of champagne. This has got to feel pretty darn good today to get this division clinched in mid-September.
Yeah, I mean, we've been winning for last year, and right now we try to make it special, and we know we had a long thing to go, and we try to be the best right now.
What do you think this team learned from a year ago that you're going to be able to apply now moving forward to get to that last game?
Last year in the second half, we find it like we good. We good and
We just won the
and after that, we know we can beat any team. We know we can beat any team, and our confidence up, and we come into this year, we try to beat everybody.
All right, Hector, you got 2 bottles. Go make them useful. Guys.
Thanks, Kelly. Hector Rondon, who handled the acquisition of Aroldis Chapman like a pro. There was nothing he did at all. But that move was made for October. And you can see why when you watch Chapman pitch. Rondon to Chapman, that's pretty formidable.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. And you know, you talk about the Kansas City Royals and their run to the World Series and the model they had, the ability to shorten games, get Strop back healthy. We've seen the emergence of Carl Edwards Jr., Justin Grimm. Second half of this year has been lights out. So the bullpen's in real good shape, and that obviously becomes a very important part of things when you get into the postseason. Managers have a tendency to make quicker moves to the bullpen, to have that depth out there, guys you can trust, not from the 7th inning on, but from the 5th inning on if need be. A lot of weapons for Joe Madden out there in that pen.
Well, as always, the toast of the game is presented by Binny's Beverage Depot. We're going to say the toast of the division championship season. We're giving it to the 2016 Chicago Cubs. And a reminder, Binny's Beverage Depot is the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs. Very appropriate on this day after the Clinch celebration. Cubs have their families on the field. We had a shot of Joe Madden and his wife Jay as his team shares in the celebration with their loved ones.
A fan paying tribute to Kyle Schwarber. He's lost during the first week of the season.
A reminder, we will be back on CSN Monday as the Cubs open a pregame series against the Reds. Pregame coverage at 6:30 prior to Game 1. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield postgame live coming up next with continued coverage of the Cubs division championship celebration. Mr. Strode, the Cubs bullpen coach with the goggles, longest tenured uniformed member of this organization at the big league level. And then there's the fans. We've been talking about the team, the players, just the fans, as Tom Ricketts mentioned, enduring some tough seasons and hanging with this club and watching the process. It was fascinating on a lot of levels to watch. Painful at times. The Cubs had a 100-loss season. But you got to show some faith in Theo Epstein, who won a couple of World Series titles in Boston, and they stuck to the plan. And again, that goes back to ownership trusting that this group was going to get it done, because you need to have ownership to be fully committed to doing it. Some owners would get a little antsy after a couple of years of a lot of losing.
Yeah, because you turn on the talk radio and people are tearing you apart and fans are calling in. So these guys aren't committed. They're just trying to make a buck and yada, yada, yada. And that's just not the case. And actually, the Cubs really, this has become a model. You see it from a lot of teams around baseball now, willingness to, you know what, let's just blow it up. Let's be willing to lose 100 games. You know, don't waste a bunch of money bringing in mediocre veteran free agents so you can kind of, you know, win 70, 75 games. So, you know, we'll bottom out. We'll get high draft picks. We'll save our money. When it's time to spring, we'll spring into action and spend that money on a big free agent. And so I think a lot of teams around baseball are paying attention to what the Cubs have done here, and you're going to see more of it all around the industry.
you also got to hit right on a lot of your trades and a lot of your draft picks and free agent signings, and for the most part the Cubs have done that.
Well, and that's the thing. It's organization-wide. It's player development. It's minor league coaches and staff. It's scouts. It's guys out there, you know, watching major league games, watching minor league games, identifying pieces. Hector Rondon coming over in the Rule 5 draft. All the trades they made to bring in frontline players. The Arrieta deal. I mean, you know, those are scouts that are out there making those recommendations. Here's the guy we need to get, and just about every one of those has worked out.
And Kyle Hendricks was not a guy we talked a lot about when he was acquired from Texas. Cubs made a couple of really nice deals with the Texas Rangers. They traded Ryan Dempster and then later Matt Garza, and got a pretty good haul in return.
Yeah, indeed, and we're seeing it now with Edwards' emergence, Grimm, Kyle Hendricks, who, you know, I'm guessing the Cubs would probably tell you too when they acquired Kyle that they saw his ceiling as a back of the rotation guy, and you know, would he be a piece of a rotation on a division-winning championship team at the time they made that deal? I doubt that they felt that. So he has exceeded expectations, pitching at such a high level. So you have to do it the right way. And you have to get a little lucky, too.
And then I think, I don't know if it's the biggest move, but it did accelerate the process, and that was Joe Maddon becoming available. And it was a little clause in his contract, and Joe has talked about this many times. At the time, he didn't even realize he had the stipulation in his deal that said if Andrew Friedman left the organization, Joe could opt out of his contract. And that opened the door for the Cubs to get who I think we both believe is the best manager in the game today.
Yeah, and you know, Ricky Renteria was here for a year, and Ricky was, I thought Ricky did a real nice job, and I thought he would have continued to do a good job. But as Theo said at the time, you know, to do what was best for the Cubs, they had to sever ties with Ricky and offer that contract to Joe Maddon, and it's been a perfect match.
There's Carl Edwards Jr. celebrating. Theo Epstein and his son riding around on the John Deere tractor with Rick Hughes. Joe Maddon embracing his wife. What
embracing the target.
Embracing the target is right. Weather panned out for us. We thought we might get some rain. Never happened. And if you just joined us, the Cubs won in thrilling fashion today. Miguel Montero with a game-ending leadoff home run in the bottom of the 10th. Cubs scored twice in the 9th to get the game into extra innings. There's still several thousand fans here, I think.
They're waiting for the players to come back out on the field.
Yeah.
And at some point, the players will. They'll emerge out of that dugout. Champagne bottles in hand to tip the caps to the fans that have remained and engage those fans and their families. There's wives and kids waiting out on the field, as is often the plight of the wives and kids in this sport. A lot of waiting, a lot of patience. They're kind of the unsung heroes behind the scenes.
And this team definitely knows how to celebrate. They've been in there now for a good half hour, really getting after it. Wrigleyville is hopping on this late Friday afternoon.
I would imagine it started to hop last night as people that stayed in the area and hung out here and watched to see how that Cardinal-Giant game would finish up.
David Ross story. He's walking around the neighborhood trying to find the Cardinal game and walked into an establishment. He's going to get a beer, and the bartender said, shots on me. Cubs are the National League Central champions, first time since 2008.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable run. You know, from spring training forward, this was the expectation that they would win this division. We thought it would be more competitive. Pirates and Cardinals both had very good teams coming out of spring training, but the Cubs have really left them in their dust. So now it's on to bigger and better things. They have cut the music down below, and there's a hush of anticipation down there. I don't know if somebody's coming out or not.
I think they're just cueing the next record. And there really hasn't been a must-win all year because of the Cubs' big lead. But if I had to pick the one win where maybe during the game you and I were looking at each other like this would be a really good one to get, it was the final game of the first half as the Cubs' lead dwindled. I say that in air quotes, down to 6.5 over the Pirates, who were looking for a sweep. Cubs had gone 5-15 over their previous 20 games. Hector Rondon came in a seesaw battle. Cubs had a 1-run lead. He preserved it in the ninth. You go into the break there and you just kind of felt like, okay, everything's going to be fine, and certainly that was the case as they just jumped past everybody in the second half. Let's go down to Kelly once again with Jake Arrieta.
I'm assuming this feels a little bit different than last year just because you're doing it with 3 weeks till to play in the regular season, but it's got to be pretty nice to finally pop the champagne.
Puts ourselves in a really good spot. You know, we knew this moment was close. To do it this early is nice. You know, we got a lot of opportunity to do some things that normally teams don't going to the playoffs as far as the rest, getting some guys some innings and getting everybody healthy.
What have you enjoyed about this year with this group, taking that next step and being prepared like you are at this point in the year?
I mean, seeing the young players collectively take steps forward and be more consistent at a really high level is one of the main reasons we're here. Obviously, we pitch really well. But our young guys, Addy, Javi, Soler, I mean, these guys are playing incredible baseball.
The next couple weeks, is there anything in particular for yourself that you're hoping that you do to get the rest you need to keep yourself fresh?
You know, get bullpens in, get some good work in on the side, try and stay crisp with my breaking balls, and, you know, stay conditioned. Other than that, we'll be ready to go.
Wilson is conditioning your beard for you right now.
Ooh. You know, I've got about 8-9 ounces of liquid in here, so I'll be well hydrated.
You guys enjoy this one. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, Kelly.
Nice work, Kelly. Layla on the field earlier getting some interviews, and they'll continue to talk to members of the Cubs as we transition into our post-game coverage. David Kaplan and Todd Hollandsworth will take over. But just a fun day, JD, and while it didn't happen last night, this worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it did. It would have been a little bit of a buzzkill had they lost this game, but I don't know, it probably wouldn't have affected the party down in the clubhouse. But it sure was fun the way it ended up with Montero hitting that walk-off home run in the 10th to kind of kick things off.
So that's it for us. But again, we've got a lot more to come. Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Cubs post-game live coming up with David Kaplan and Todd Hollandsworth. Cap and Holly, take it away.
This is Cubs Postgame Live, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois.
Well, the celebration rolls on at Wrigley Field. The Cubs are the Central Division champions. Cap and Holly with you, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Cubs post-game live. Partner, there's been a lot of seasons of really bad baseball. And to watch this scene and to see them go back-to-back to the playoffs, and this time, you know, clinch, and the way that they did it, the fans deserve this.
Oh, they did. You know, you think even into a way they won the game today, obviously with the walk-off there, Montero. How about his story? I mean, this is always a time of reflection. I always saw it that way. And clearly listening to the players after the game, the champagne's popping. This doesn't get old. Fans enjoy, soak in every minute of this. These are always special moments. We talk about it in the world, in the cycles of baseball. To have a team do it 2 years in a row, to give you things to celebrate, to talk about champagne and be part of an incredible run, and a run that we know is coming with this team, you got to take in every one of these moments. The players absolutely get it. They know that last year was special, but that was 2015. This is 2016. This is a different year, a different team, different characters, and new guys that are all coming in to enjoy this incredible celebration. Well deserved. Well deserved. Didn't see it ending this early as far as the season. Did you? Did you think that they would get this thing wrapped up halfway through September?
Well, if you had said to me in April, they're going to wrap this thing up by the 16th of September, I would have said, probably
early,
that's
right?
a little optimistic,
right?
But here they are.
Unbelievable. I mean, again, when you look at what they've done all season long, and I thought Len made a great point just a second ago talking about how they've been tested. Like, they have literally just seriously kicked some butt this year. It's as simple as that. You look at how this season has gone, you know, other than that one little stretch there at the end of the first half, this has been a team that's gone in, that's answered all of the questions that have been put in front of them. The players that have stepped into new roles have answered those questions. Joe Madden has navigated this season perfectly. I mean, you're in a position where you have extra games to spare here at the end of the season. It's been an amazing run. This is a time to sit back, reflect, enjoy what they accomplished this year during the regular season. Give it a couple days, and you know what? They'll start gearing themselves up for October.
All right, let's go back to Wrigley. Theo Epstein on the field.
No, you got to celebrate in baseball because so much work goes into it, and the regular season really rewards the best teams. You know, there's no guarantee. You can look great on paper, but you got to come out and overcome a lot of adversity and grind through it day after day after day after day against some really good teams. So you better celebrate.
Theo, speaking of celebrating, you came prepared. You got the flip-flops on, the shorts. You're ready to get a champagne shower, right?
Oh, yeah, not my first rodeo.
Of course, but you hope it's not your last. But what this team has been able to do with that target on its back, even a game like today after the disappointment of last night, losing when you had a chance to clinch.
No, it was great.
And the guys that don't get a chance to play, close it out in the dramatic fashion.
That was a big comeback, and I think it was a lot more fitting to do it after a win. So, in fact, they're going to go celebrate, so I got to go check that out. I'll be back.
I'm not sure what was more interesting right there, listening to Theo or watching our owner
Ricketts drinking shots.
Right. I actually thought that was a little bit more interesting.
Theo must have shaved since his foray into the bleachers today.
I think that's absolutely outstanding that he attempted to pull that off, thinking that maybe he was going to not be recognized out on the field today, out in the bleachers today. Boy, that was entertaining.
That was awesome. He dressed like Bobby Valentine, the old Mets manager, did with the fake disguise, with the fake goatee, the mustache, the hat, the T-shirt. A bunch of baseball ops guys and the owner were out there having a good old time, having a few beers and celebrating. So the Cubs, again, are Central Division champs. First division title since 2008. And it's hard to believe that it's taken that long to get back just to the division point.
Well, you know what? You remember, you know, and I know Len and GD were talking about it. Everybody kind of reflects and starts to think about how this has gone. Think what they did 5-6 years ago when they ripped this thing all the way down to the foundation cap, where, you know, the argument could be made that a lot of the best players were in the minor leagues and they weren't even yet developed. I mean, that was the idea, that filling the system with talent and watching that, you know, that talent develop at the minor league level was the story you and I were talking about a lot of times on pre and post games as we waited and we survived and found our way through the 90 lost seasons. Here you are. I mean, all of a sudden it accelerates. You can't put a timetable on it. There is one moment, and I think you're going to agree with me on this one. You know, it was a point that I made about 2 years ago in how how you want to see the system develop. And you'll watch other teams do this, and they will progressively bring a guy up at a time. Guy comes up maybe May. A couple months later, you might see another guy if he starts to be ready. They flooded this team last year with the talent, with the younger players. They didn't, we heard the clock conversation on Chris Bryant, and that's almost where it stopped. Everybody else, once we kind of beat down that door and this team started to play well, they brought up Addison, Russell, and I mean, Soler. Everybody just started to come, and it started to take shape. You allowed these young players to play together, to learn together, and to get better together.
Tom Ricketts making a toast.
Let it ride!
There you go, Tom Ricketts. We just caught the end of that, making a toast with the team, and they are going to have a good old time tonight as they are headed to the playoffs on October 7th. 3 weeks from tonight will be the first playoff game at Wrigley Field, Game 1 of the National League Division Series. Let's go back to Wrigley. Here's David Ross.
Wasn't that cool? Yeah, I mean, like, everybody that wants to say it's anticlimactic, and, you never know what's going to happen the next day, so you just got to kind of play the day as it is. What an amazing way to do it, especially a guy like Miggy, who's had some struggles this year and been coming up good lately and trained about really well. Couldn't be happy for him and this whole organization.
This is something you guys have been...
Who cares? We just won the Senate.
Who cares? We just won the Central. Who cares? We just won the Central.
You guys obviously have been confident all year long. Why is this team why is the team so prepared for this moment?
It's just we've been working hard. I mean, it started last year. With this group that works hard.
That is so phenomenal. Now, no one else in this building, this studio, anywhere around us has had that opportunity except for you. You got to do that multiple times and once as a world champion.
Correct.
So what is that like? What does it feel like?
Well, it's exhilarating, and because that champagne, you know, you've been out, you've been working, you've been on the field all this time, and you come in, you're still hot. But you know you've obviously accomplished something. You see it coming, and you're certainly working towards it. But when you get the cold, the cold of the alcohol, that alcohol has been on ice all game long. It is freezing cold. What ends up happening is, and you saw it in David Ross right there, your heart just starts to race. Your clothes are already wet because you've been perspiring, but then you get the cold. I mean, it sends shivers all over your body, and then your heart just starts to race.
Got to be pretty amazing.
Well, it is. It's a lot of fun, and it kind of becomes a bit of a game. You know, everybody's having a great time together. You're celebrating with your family. You see Jason Hamill right there enjoying that moment. And that's the other thing that I certainly would mention with this group, involving their families and their special people that are in their lives, to make them part of it. Always very important to do that. You realize what goes on behind the scenes, Cap, to make these guys accessible, available all season long, doing it all the time. And you see it right there with Jason Hamill.
Also, you have to feel really good for Jason. They've had a really rough year. He has had both his in-laws battling cancer. Right. His wife at the same time battling vertigo. Mm-hmm. He's had his fair share of struggles over the last couple years in the second half, but he's pitched, you know, much better this year. And just to see him with his family is pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is, and that is very, very important. It's certainly part of it. I got to celebrate it with Mars. Back in the day, we had a lot of fun doing it, and it really, really is important to see it that way. And I know this organization is very much that way. You see all the people in the clubhouse. That will continue on. This party will continue on well past the clubhouse, and it will carry on into Chicago.
One thing we haven't done.
We got to get this right. We've forgotten all day long. Boom. There you go.
Congratulations to the Cubbies.
Well
they
deserved.
get it done. Cubs win the division. And again, 3 weeks from tonight, we will be at Wrigley Field for pregame. And the Cubs will play Game 1 of the National League Division Series against somebody. We'll find out. Let's hear from Ben Zobrist.
I think we expected this to happen. You know, this is something that we know is very difficult to do. But we coming in, knowing what kind of team we had, we knew that if we played well, we stayed healthy, we could do this. And, you know, we're in a great position right now, like we have been all season. And, you know, step one is down. We have a lot of work to do yet this year that we want to accomplish.
You've won the World Series, obviously, but have you been on a team ever before like this with this much confidence, almost like the wherewithal to know, to expect success like this?
I don't think I've ever been on a team that's been this talented and capable of, you know, dominating at times. But, you know, it's such a different animal when you get to the postseason. Everybody's good, and you got to really play well at the right time. So, you know, we have to play well at the right time for this team to really do what we're capable of doing. But we're in a good spot right now.
You've won a lot of ways, but it almost wasn't a surprise that the way you guys won today was the walk-off, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've done that several times this year, just walking off on this field, and our fans do a great job of making that energy happen late in the game like that for us. And you know, Miggy came through big today. It makes this celebration a lot more fun than it would have been if we had lost.
There you go. Our Ryan McGuffey with Ben Zobrist. And he won it a year ago.
Oh, yeah, he knows the route.
He knows the route, yep. And as he said, step one is down. Yeah. There's a whole long road to go, and you know that there are Cub fans out there. You made this your home. Right. You won a World Series in another city. You came here thinking you could do it again here, and it didn't happen.
That's why we came here, right?
But there are a lot of fans that are watching now that are at home or going, I don't know, I'm a little nervous on this, on that. What do you tell them? Because you took that journey and you came out on the other end of it.
Well, I mean, again, you know, you heard it from Ben. it's a different animal. And the one thing that I would remind fans is that this has been an incredible regular season. That's what today is all about. Understand that we're celebrating this team, this season, this 162. Yeah, we're a little short of the 162 because they got it done early. It's a reflection of how talented they are, how deep they are, how motivated they are, how driven they are. But what is going to happen is this will reset. His point is spot on. That's what the wild card teams all, it was around 2 of them, that said the same thing. We were like, you know what? We're in the playoffs. Anything can happen, and you have to carry that around in your back pocket so you know it exists. But if you play your game and your pitching does what your pitching has done all season long, and you do that, you're going to hopefully, again, go out there and play your game. And if you start to do that, I always believed, the 3 years that I went to the playoffs, it was the team that adjusted to the tilt, meaning something was going to happen, go your way that you didn't see coming. But if you could handle it the right way and recover from it, you could find yourself on top. And that's ultimately what happened with my group in 03. For the other 2 teams, we had a couple things that didn't go our way, and it didn't go our way. We weren't any less talented than the Atlanta Braves back in 95 and 96. We weren't any less talented than the Cincinnati Reds. We didn't believe that about ourselves. There were a couple plays in a ballgame that didn't go our way. That's it. I mean, the margin gets so close. You're talking about the best teams in baseball. Whoever the Cubs play, they're probably going to have some pitching. They're probably going to have some offense. They're going to have some defense. But what you have to focus in on is what this Cubs team has done so well this year. What is that? They pitch, they play defense, good timely hitting, some power, and an enthusiasm and a passion that they play with at Wrigley Field that really I would not compare to any other home team advantage in and around baseball. It is definitely something that's different right now. Think back to the 08 playoffs, Cappy. We talked about this. What were the playoffs like? It was a different atmosphere than what we saw last year. What's this year going to be? You make it a home field advantage, Cubs are going to get home field advantage.
All right, let's take a quick time out, our first break. We're not going anywhere, so stick around. Whole lot more to do. They're celebrating. They're going to come back out on the field. We will carry all of it for you right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Jack Link's Jerky presents Working Out with Sasquatch. Are you a worker-outer? Do you like muscles? How much can you bench? If you answered yes to any of those things, then Working Out with Sasquatch is for you. Working Out with Sasquatch hits all the major muscle groups with major muscle confusion. 52. Then I get a full-body snack out with protein-packed Jack Link's Jerky. Original. Jack Link's Jerky, the protein-packed snack packed with protein.
Now that Big Papi's retiring, he's being smarter with his money.
I need to be smart with my money.
So he's become a super savvy shopper. Oh. That's why the Xfinity Best Offer of the Year is a home run. Lock in your rate for 2 years, plus get the X1 voice remote.
There is no crying in baseball.
It's the Big Papi of deals.
I'm not crying. My eyes are just sweating.
Score our Best Offer of the Year on the X1 Triple Play from Comcast for only $89.99 a month and lock in your rate for 2 years. Go online, call, or visit today.
Our mountains challenge us. Push us back. Knock us down. Tell us it can't be done. But then, one day you reach the summit, and you realize the harder the climb, the better the reward. Coors Light, whatever your mountain, climb on.
In Chicago, some things just go together, like front porches and blue W's, bricks and ivy, Waveland Avenue and souvenirs, Jake and State Farm. Like home and auto insurance with State Farm, they just go together, and they save you time and money. Just another way we're here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
It's the fabric that brings an entire nation together. It says to the world, we will never lose faith. We believe in this team. Her generation, his generation, the next generation. Maybe this October, if we fly it high enough and loud enough and proud enough, well, you get the idea.
Cubs baseball on CSN Chicago is brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Honda dealers, as reliable as the cars themselves. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Audi, truth in engineering. Menards, save big money at Menards. And by Toyota, discover more in a Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com or your local Toyota dealer today. Let's go places.
Fans having a good old time in and around Wrigleyville, and many of them still at Wrigley Field. There's Chris Bryant with his fiancée, Jessica. They are having a good time. Everybody enjoying the moment as the Cubs celebrate a Central Division championship. Actually clinched it last night, but they won today on a walk-off Miguel Montero home run, and they beat the Milwaukee Brewers 5-4. And the win goes to Aroldis Chapman in the ballgame. So cool to see. All right, let's send it out to Kelly Crow. She is standing by with Anthony Rizzo in our Coors Light Game Report. Casey?
So Anthony was so nice. He's giving me his goggles, guys. What do you think?
Is this beer money 2.0?
We're getting ready for beer money. I promise it's coming. But there is a lot of beer here and a lot of champagne. How much fun are you guys having right now, knowing you are the division champs of 2016 in the Central?
It's fun. It's rewarding. Going into spring training, going into the offseason hungry. This is the first step, and but it took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of consistency, and we all did it. And you got to give credit to everyone who's been along for the ride.
Anthony, you knew the expectations were very high coming in for this team, and a year ago you claimed this title, and here you are getting to tell everybody you knew what was coming.
Yeah, we've come a long way as an organization, top to bottom, and this is where we're going to be every single year on a consistent basis.
I know we're laughing a little bit because Travis Wood in the background is doing all kinds of goofy things, but you and he have been here the longest, and you were here through the very tough times. How gratifying to now be at the top with this group.
Yeah, this is fun, and obviously all the moves that we made to get here, it's a totally different team, environment, clubhouse, but this is what it's all about here, and we're loving every moment.
Okay, where does the mindset shift now moving forward with 3 weeks before it really starts to matter?
Just being ready, just making sure we fine-tune everything, but we hold ourselves accountable to that every day anyway, so I really don't think it changed much. Really just guys reaching their milestones on getting to that extra home run or extra RBIs and getting ready for the playoffs.
Okay, do you want a beer money question right now?
How about I give you a beer money question?
Hey, let's see it. Let's hear it.
Who hit the walk-off home run on Mother's Day this year?
Javier Baez, and I don't need a lifeline. Boom! Anthony Rizzo, thank you.
All right, there you go. Anthony throwing out a beer money question. That was pretty good.
Beer money?
Yeah.
What is that?
Beer money?
We have a TV show named Beer Money?
We have a TV show named Beer Money, starring Luke Stuckmeyer and Kelly.
Oh, that's right. That's
Layla
Stuckey show.
Sierra. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Obviously, Kelly as well. Now, Kelly with John Lackey.
You really didn't.
Well, John, I know you've done this plenty of times before, but this is a new group, a young group that you've spoken very highly about at times. It's got to be pretty special to knock that first goal off the list of what is a long list of bigger ones.
Right, yeah. I mean, obviously we got higher goals, but I mean, you gotta get the first one before you get to the other ones. So, I mean, we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. I mean, it's been a great group of guys. We're having a lot of fun, and it's cool, to share with my family. It's a cool deal.
Does this put it in perspective a little bit as you hold her in your arms right here and know what this moment means?
Yeah, this one here is, she doesn't care whether we win or lose. She likes to see Daddy. It's fun.
John, what now does this team, where does the mindset need to go? As you well know, you got 3 weeks. It's kind of a lot of time to get prepared for October.
Yeah, I mean, we got to find a balance between getting ready and getting some rest and that sort of thing, but get it, baby girl.
She's got the quick hands.
Yeah, she's strong. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, she'll get you.
Well, John, what about this group? I know, like you said, I think you were running down the hallway saying, this is my 37th time. I'm not allowed to put the goggles on. You got to feel the burn.
Yeah,
but
I don't believe in the goggles. So, I think that's something, you only feel that burn on special occasions. That's something you need to feel.
Okay, from here on out, to make it to that final goal with this team, what do you see that needs to be done?
just be ourselves. I mean, we've got a good team. The talent's here. We just got to perform up to expectations, or up to our level, and we should be just fine.
Okay, John Lester said he's the reason you're here. Did you give him an extra champagne bath or anything like that this afternoon? Because you were the one to text him and say, let's get it done. And I'm censoring that because it's not really what it was, but it was close.
Yeah, there might have been a few words we can't say in that text message when he was sending me, especially in front of a sweet girl here. But yeah, I love playing with him. He's one of my best friends on and off the field, and me and him be ready to go when it comes time. We've done this before.
And pretty special to watch Rossi in these moments, too.
All right, you heard Kelly mention a text message that John Lackey had sent, and I've referenced it a few times this season. I don't know if I've referenced it with you, but David Ross was telling me that he and John Lester were working Lackey hard. You got to come to Chicago. You got to be a Cub. He's like, well, I got a lot of opportunities. The Red Sox want me back, and the Cardinals have been good to me, and this one and that one. And he said, it's literally like 10 of midnight. He goes, I'm getting ready to go to sleep. He goes, and my phone beeps. I got a text message. It's a group text. It's John Lackey sending to Lester and to Ross, and all it says is, I'm in. Let's go win the whole effing thing. And they went, we got our guy.
Right.
He didn't come here for a haircut.
No, he did not.
He came here for jewelry. Let's get it on.
That's what that means. It's exactly what it means. And, you know, listen, I give Lackey an awful lot of credit. He's had a fantastic season. All I'm saying is, I've said this before. I tweeted it out last night. Cap, you know why I live in Chicago. I came here a long time ago for one very specific reason. My wife and I, at the time, we knew the opportunity that was in front of us to win with the Chicago Cubs. And it's what we came here for. It's how we settled in, and it's what we want to see. I share that with you now as a fan, as an analyst, and a former player. But you can still hear in the players' voices. The guys who do come here, they come here to do something special, something that has not happened in our lifetime, to witness, to be a part of, to be a contributor to a championship in the city of Chicago for the Chicago Cubs. And that's it. I mean, it really does come down to it. There's so many former Cubs that came here with the hope and the prayer and the desire to get it done as a Cub that fell short, and they are now in the position, as John Lackey just said, you know what, let's get it done. I'm here. I'm not here for haircuts. I'm here for jewelry. It's what you come here for. The regular season is chapter 1 in his mind. That's it. I mean, this is phase 1. They're celebrating what they accomplished. This season really does, in his mind, probably start October, 6 or 7.
Yep, October 7th, 3 weeks from tonight. Comcast Sportsnet will have pre and post before every game. We will be with you the entire way, so looking forward to this joyride with all of you out there as we chronicle the Chicago Cubs and their march, hopefully, to a World Series title. Hard to believe that we're saying that, but here they are. We'll take a fast time out, and then you'll hear from Chris Bryant. He's next on CSN.
They got the speed to be the best in the National League.
Cubs Postgame Live is presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all.
If you feel like singing a song and you want other people to sing along, just sing what you feel. Don't let anyone say it's wrong. When there's a light, what light? There's a light, what light? There's a light, white light.
Now that Big Papi's retiring, he's being smarter with his money.
I need to be smart with my money.
So he's become a super savvy shopper. Oh. That's why the Xfinity Best Offer of the Year is a home run. Lock in your rate for 2 years, plus get the X1 voice remote.
There is no crying in baseball.
It's the Big Papi of deals.
I'm not crying. My eyes are just sweating.
Score our Best Offer of the Year on the X1 Triple Play from Comcast for only $89.99 a month and lock in your rate for 2 years. Go online, call, or visit today.
This is the last place you'd expect us to talk about staying connected with state-of-the-art technology. Or wow you with a massive touchscreen. Then again, you probably didn't think you'd need your survival skills back on the road either. Jeep Cherokee. Conquer all the world's most challenging places. Celebrating 75 years of the most awarded SUV lineup ever. Or get 20% off MSRP cash allowance for an average of $7,600 in savings on select Cherokee Trailhawk models and dealer stock.
Now
playing on DirecTV Cinema.
We need to be put in check.
How long are you going to play both sides?
Do you really want to punch your way out of this?
You chose the wrong side. Keep telling yourself that.
Marvel's Captain America: Civil War. Rated PG-13.
Movies start at Channel 125.
Why jump out of a perfectly good airplane? Why not? Chicagoland Skydiving Center was voted the best in the U.S. with a perfect safety record, a one-of-a-kind environment, and round-trip shuttle service from downtown Chicago. Come experience the greatest adventure in the area. Chicagoland Skydiving Center in Rochelle. Visit us at perfectlygoodairplane.com.
Sports Talk Live, presented by the all-new Chevy Silverado. Weeknights at 5:30.
All right, time for our Elk Grove pitching recap as you look again at a bunch of the different executives and players all celebrating at Wrigley with the fan base. You look at the pitching numbers, Chase Anderson accorded himself very well. John Lackey pitched very, very well. Chase Anderson maybe a bit better. Lackey went a little longer, but the Cubs get the job done, and they win this ball game in come-from-behind fashion on a Miggy Montero walk-off homer in the 10th. Layla Rahimi with Chris Bryant.
So, Chris, you say you have these goggles on because you learned from last year. What happened last year, and how are your eyes right now? Because those are pretty fancy. I think I can see my reflection in it.
This is what we play the game for. I mean, these celebrations and memories that we make, I mean, it's so much fun. I mean, and I can't really put into words how cool this is. Look, the fans are still here. The game ended an hour and a half ago. It just means a lot to us.
To be able to celebrate on the field like you guys did today and a walk-off win, something we've seen you do before. It's a good example of what you guys have done this season. What's that like? It's
unbelievable. I mean, to end the game like that, I mean, it's how the season's been going for us. I mean, you know, to celebrate after a loss like we did last year, it wasn't as fun. So to come out here and celebrate after a win like that, and Miggy coming through huge. I mean, everybody's contributed all year, and we just look forward to kind of continue that in the playoffs.
Compare last year to this year for me, especially being able to talk to you right now in the middle of September, and you guys have the division.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I mean, celebrating this early, I mean, last year we had the wild card game, and playing a one-game playoff is tough. I mean, and that was our first playoff game. So this is a little less stressful, I guess, but, you know, our goals have not changed. They're still to go all the way and win it all, and I think this group is a pretty special one. So we're all excited for what's to come.
Chris, thanks for the time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you.
All right, and you're seeing a number of different images out there. John Lester talking to the media.
Where are his goggles?
Yeah, he's a veteran. He said, you got to feel the bird, like Lackey said.
No goggles.
Somebody asked Lackey in the clubhouse, how do you feel at this point in the season? He said, I'm 37 years old. I've been pitching for 17 years. How do you think I feel? Well, let's get it on. Anyway, Jason Hamill, take it away.
The battle's just begun, you know.
No doubt. You guys have had incredible chemistry. Everyone wondered if you could repeat that from a year ago. How have you been able to do that?
Honestly, we just trust the process and believe in what we're doing. Don't try and recreate anything. And all we have to do is really just trust in ourselves and be confident in what we've done all year. There's really no reason to change anything. You know, pitching and timely hitting, and that's what we got to work on.
I know the game was relatively controversial. You knew you were going to party, but any way more fitting than with the walk-off homer?
It was perfect. It was perfect. That's about storybook as it gets. So obviously happy for Miggy, happy for all of us, happy for Chicago. That's really cool. You know, we're just trying to have some fun right now. You know, one of 4 parties down.
You know, a lot of teams have confidence before a season, but you guys really followed up on it throughout the year. How special has that been?
You know, it's a group of character guys here. We got a lot of character in this room, and we take care of what we need to, and we trust the guy next to us, and that's what makes up a good team.
What do you look forward to now over the next couple of weeks in terms of getting ready now for that next season?
We want to keep winning. We got to keep winning. You know, there's no time for taking a break. you're one of the rare guys that have seen both sides of the rebuild, so to speak. Because you were here when it was not so good, and now you're here when you're the hunted. What does that feel like to be able to see through? You're one of the rare guys.
Yeah, I wanted to come back at 14. I never wanted to leave. Never wanted to leave. Obviously, it worked out. Addison Russell, Chicago, you're welcome. I'm sure Jeff says the same thing, but you know, it was towards the end of the rebuild, and I saw some good things. And you want to be a part of winning. That's just all it is. You just want to be a part of winning it, and we win and we have fun. There's no better feeling.
Last year, expectations, not really expectations at all. This year, everyone had you pegged for the World Series, and you guys tackled every challenge, at least thus far. Why?
It's the belief in ourselves, you know, the belief in the guys that we have here, and all that we can do is trust the 25 guys next to us, and that's all that we can do. So we're happy with where we are right now, but we're not done yet. We still got a lot of work to do.
All right, there's Jason Hamill. Now let's go back outside the clubhouse because Layla Rahimi has cornered John Lester.
John, we asked Theo Epstein what it was like when he remembered the early years in Boston, having this kind of celebration and then the build. You've obviously been a part of winning teams. Compare this for me, this feeling, this experience right now to what you've had in the past in your career.
I don't think you can compare them. You know, I think every year is so different and every year is unique, and you have a different group of guys. And, you know, even this year we got a different group of guys compared to last year. So it's just a fun group to be a part of. It's a great group, a lot of competitors, and you know, these guys, like you saw tonight or today, just continue to grind out at bats and grind out innings, and it's just fun to be a part of this group.
You've been such a big contributor, pitching so well down the stretch. The second half of the season has been so much fun to watch. How has it been for you on the mound, just being able to do what you do, and then the run support, the defense, all of that goes into it as well?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, our offense has done an unbelievable job with our pitching staff all year. They give us early cushions. They grind out at bats. They give us long innings. They give us breaks. And, you know, we know that if we keep us close in the game that we have a chance of winning. That's what Lack did today. And, you know, at the end, we come out on top with Miggy's walk-off homer. So it's just, like I said, it's a great group. These guys, they care. They grind out to the end, and I think that's what makes us really special.
John, I'm talking to you in mid-September. We've got a couple of weeks until the postseason starts. What do you do right now to get ready for that, enjoy this moment, and then know you've got a lot of business coming up to take care of?
You just keep grinding out, keep playing. You know, we got a long ways to go still, and we can't take any breaks. We gotta take it like we haven't won anything yet. And I think that's, like I said, I keep going back to what makes this group special. I think that's what makes this group special is that, you know, guys don't take at bats off. They don't take innings off. And regardless of the lead that we have in the division or lead we have in the game, it's still the same. And it's fun to watch. It's been fun to watch since day one. And I'm just glad I get to be a part of it.
What have you enjoyed the most about this season or even today, the celebration, the atmosphere so far?
I just like the fact that this team, I mean, as you guys have seen in last year and this year, that we don't take our parties lightly, you know. Our guys like to have a good time. We don't take anything for granted. We celebrate the wins. The losses don't get to us. And it's just a fun group with how they take to wins, and these guys love winning, and I think that's what's awesome is we see when we have a chance to win, and like today we had a chance and we came back and we grinded out at bats, and sure enough, like I said, Miggy hits a walk-off for us, and it makes today that much more special with a win as opposed to going in there trying to celebrate when we lose.
All right, there you go. That's John Lester's thoughts, and this is not his first rodeo, not Theo's first rodeo. Lackey, Ross, there's a whole bunch of them that have been down this road before and have come out the other side and won a World Series. And the journey will start 3 weeks from tonight when some team will roll into Chicago with designs on knocking off the champs.
Well, right. I mean,
can you get your chair any higher?
I like it up here. The air up here is much better. It's the division championship air up here. Listen, the bottom line is this. That's exactly what they've been playing with all season long. Is the bullseye. Anyway, so you're out of control. Seriously, I'm going to use this glove on you. It's already got a broken finger. They've been playing with a bullseye all season long. They have. I mean, when you're the top dog and everybody knows what you accomplished in 2015 and you look at what they came into this season to accomplish. Anthony Rizzo talked about it. John Lester talked about it. John Lackey said it in a text message. There was a goal in mind of what they wanted to accomplish. When you play at the level that they're playing at, and I hear this at MLB all the time, they're the team playing with the target on the back. Everybody wants a piece of the Chicago Cubs right now. Unfortunately, like that little, remember we talked about this last year in 2015, that the ability to maybe slip in when nobody was looking, like the Cubs snuck up on a lot of people last year, right? That's out the window now, so you're playing with that. Now the question is, if you get it done, I mean, you know, we hope for a 2016 World Series champion, right? That's what we're shooting for. But if they accomplish it this year, obviously they didn't accomplish it last year. If they would have accomplished it last year, I would have compared the two. I would have said 2016 would have been harder to do because you're playing with a bullseye on your back. People around the game, pitching around the game, hitting around the game knows when the Cubs come to town, you play your A game. If you don't bring your A game, you got no shot at beating them. And that's what they're going to contend with moving forward. I mean, no matter who it is, there's not going to be any skating through or, you know, doing this. They're going to have to play their best game because that's what they're going to get out of the Mets. They're going to get it out of the Nats. They're going to get it out of the Dodgers. They're going to get it out of whoever they meet in the from the American League. You're going to get their best.
All right, time for our Honda winning box score. And this one belongs to the champs. Cubs come from behind, tie it late, win it in extras. And there you see the way the numbers shake out. Albert Almora had a couple knocks, a home run, a two-run home run, and drove in his 13th runs of the season. Win. That would be a key performer win. Wow. Correct. You've got Chris Coughlin, a big day, 3 for 4. Wilson Contreras, a 2 for 4. LaStella, a knock. Munenori Kawasaki, a knock. And the game winner, Miggy Montero, a walk-off home run in the 10th. And that is your decider. Addison Russell with Layla.
Addison, you get to celebrate on the field with your team. You got a pinch hit. That was a big part of this 9th inning rally that turned into the 10th. What was that feeling like for you?
I was just trying to put the barrel on the ball. You know, the team that we've been coming up with all year, they've been grinding all year. They've been competitive. I just want to give my team a fighting chance to win. And the biggest thing coming out of that at bat, just want to hit the ball.
You've done that all season. You're a big reason why the Cubs are in this position. The trade that brought you here is part of what put this all together. What has it been like for you knowing that when you came here, this was all happening and the plan was in place and you're seeing it happen right now?
It's been a crazy year this far. It's been a crazy road to begin with, you know, but we got the right guys in the right position at the right time, you know, and this is our year, I feel like, and we're going to try our best to come out on top no matter what.
You guys acknowledged the crowd before this game, taking your hats off when they congratulated you for winning the Central. But be able to celebrate like you did with a win, what is that like?
It's huge. It's huge. And that's the biggest thing. We just want to come out with some wins. No matter how we win, we just want to come out with some wins. And the fans were here. They're being really supportive. They're still here. And we tip their caps because they've been very, very supportive. And we respect that. So big thanks to them. Hats off to them. And we're ready to keep going.
We talk about the playoffs, it's still 2 weeks away, but it's almost like that in the atmosphere here. We see it every time we turn around. What has it been like playing on the field and receiving that energy?
It's been pretty cool. It's something to learn from, it's something to grasp, and it's something to embrace. And that's something that I think that we've been doing all year, is embracing the targets that have been put on our back. And Joe does a great job with managing the players. So there's really no complaints right now. You know, I think that we're on our way up, and as soon as we get better and better and better each day, you know, the goals for an organization are becoming closer and closer.
So Joe is big on rest, of course, and you guys have a couple of weeks now until the playoffs start. So how do you manage that? How do you get some rest, and how do you guys stay fresh knowing what's ahead?
You know, I guess that we'll just take it day by day. We have to go with how our bodies feel, and Joe's going to know how our bodies feel. So you know, he has the things right there. I mean, I think that we're doing a really good job right now. We're going to rest up whenever we need rest. Whenever it's game time, I think that all of us are going to be ready.
And until then, you just get the big hits in a pinch-hitting situation, right?
Yeah. That was awesome.
Addison, congratulations. Thank you for the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Back to you.
All right, thank you, Addison and Layla. UPS Store taking care of business. Player of the game. It's right there. Miggy Montero got all of it, drives it out, ball game over.
Great to see Miggy. Last 3 weeks has really been swinging the bat. Great to see him out there more contributing, coming up with big hits, barreling up, and doing some really exciting things. Joe Madden said it best. When you see Miggy rolling, he's using left center field. You saw the approach right there, got a fastball, let it get deep, and then just exploded. Changed the course of this game. I tell you, we were about 7th, 8th inning there, and things felt like a little dicey. This Brewer team, they've got some fight in them. But this Cubs team, always resilient at home. Miggy comes up with your game winner.
Yeah, it was really good to see. He has swung the bat so much better as of late, and really making a case to be part of that postseason discussion and maybe to be catching some.
Well, I'll say this. The confidence is back. I can see it in his eyes. He looks like he is confident at home plate, certainly obviously behind the plate as a catching, doing his duties back there. Obviously, you've seen the improvements, and certainly we understand how important he is to the rotation. But that being said, I think the offensive side of this was probably more about what we would kind of center on. If he's going to hit enough to be in there to be relied upon, or is it going to be Wilson Contreras, is it going to be David Ross, what combination is going to go? He is stating his case right now. You see it. You see it in the presentation. You see it in the finish of his swing. When he poses just a little bit, you give him about a half second. When he kind of finishes, you see that little bit of a cape that he does. You know that he's locked in and he's seeing the baseball. That's a great place to be. He's looking to finish strong and certainly state his case for the postseason.
All right, we've got to take a timeout. We will come back. There is more to do. Don't forget Sports Talk Live's coming up next. So there's a whole lot more to do right here. Cubs have won the Central, and they win it today in front of their fans at Wrigley. Be right back.
Cubs Postgame Live is brought to you by your local Kia dealers. Visit mykiachicago.com to learn more.
We are the Coors Brewing Company, and our mountain is brewing the world's most refreshing beer. A beer proud enough to wear our name in big, red, scripted letters. That's why we lager, filter, and package cold. Because we believe every climb deserves a refreshing finish. Whatever your mountain, climb on.
Cricket's got you covered like a blanket on a pig. Our plans cost little and our network is big. Like a great big gorilla in a pompadour wig. Great is great when big is big. You can text and like and swipe and stream. It's a great big network of your great big dreams. It's a obvious call. It's the great big network sending love to us all.
Look at all these purchases you made with your airline credit card. Hold on, you only got double miles on stuff you bought from that airline? Let me show you something better. The Capital One Venture Card. With Venture, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase, not just airline purchases. Every purchase, everywhere, every day. No, really, double miles on all of them. What's in your wallet?
Afoot and lighthearted, I take to the open road. Healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me leading wherever I choose. The east and the west are mine. The north and the south are mine. All seems beautiful to me.
It's Peyton. It's Peyton on Sunday morning.
You like football? Yeah. It's DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket. I can watch every Sunday Ticket game live on any device.
I'm retired. I just sit here watching nothing. If I were you, I'd work as long as you can, son. It's Peyton on Work Sunday as long as you can.
Thanks.
Get NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV and watch live games anywhere.
Cubs fans, show your team pride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card available only at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC. All right, time now for our Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. Who's hot and who's not? Terry Cortez. Who's hot? How about Anthony Rizzo? This is at Wrigley. .293 with 12 bombs, 42 RBIs. 409 OBP and a 524 slug. That gives you a 933 OPS there. Who's not? Chris Carter, who's a good player for the Brewers. But, young man, those numbers are brutal. 4 for 27.
Mathematician.
Not good. All right, Layla with Jason Hayward.
Describe to me this feeling, especially after what happened, last year in the Central. You also know what that's like. So compare for me this year to last year for you.
A little bit less suspense this year. Not coming down to the last series. But it's awesome to see the hard work pay off for the coaching staff, front office, ownership, players, training staff, video people, everybody involved, the whole team. People to give us information every day. They really take a lot of pride in their jobs, and it's awesome to see it pay off. And it's obviously been a lot of fun winning, but it's still been a fun environment to work in every day.
When you came here in the offseason, you said you wanted to be part of a young core, part of a group of guys to build something. Describe to me how that's gone for you so far and your impression of it.
It's been a lot of fun because I've been able to do some growing myself, and just realizing like what I bring on a daily basis that's not even on the baseball field. And I'm not doing that to talk about myself, but just it's cool to see other guys look to you for stuff or just depend on you to be what you bring every day. And it's just been a lot of fun because I take a lot of pride in coming to work with these guys because they kill it. People see that we have a fun environment or it may look loose or whatever it is, but these guys really grind it out every day, and it just makes it, an honor and a pleasure to come to work with them because we take a lot of pride in just trying to go out there and help each other. Regardless of what the outcome, we try and help each other.
And I think you bring up a good point because we've seen it in action. Guys who maybe want to work on an extra pitch or they have the luxury to work on their swing because they know the rest of the team is clicking on those cylinders right now. So how has that been able to help you as well? Because we've seen you obviously grow, especially in this last month.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's, I guess I can do a little bit of everything when it comes to whatever's happening on the field, from base running, defense, hit a little bit of whatever, some power, some speed, bases, whatever. And it's like, this is a unique situation for me to come in and fit in with this team. And at the same time, it's like I had to realize that's why I'm here. It's just to go be myself and, just go do a little bit of everything and be in the mix and be right in the middle of this great lineup that we have, great group that we have. And I tell you, it just makes it a lot of fun that I get to go and now comfortably go be myself and not have to do too much.
We've enjoyed watching. Jason, thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. It's been a blast.
Thank you.
Time for our Cubs fan poll. To vote, visit csnchicago.com/vote. You do not need a special app. Just visit that website and you can get interactive with Holly and with me. Today's question is, who do you think should start Game 1 of the National League Division Series? Your options are John Lester, Jake Arrieta, or Kyle Hendricks. Holly, 3 weeks away from that game, 3 weeks from tonight, Joe Madden will line up that Game 1 starter the next couple of weeks. Who do you think gets the nod Game 1? Who would you do?
It's a tough question. It really is. And it's a reflection of how good this rotation has been all season long. But my nod would go to John Lester. I think John Lester has proven to be the most consistent down the stretch. He's giving great length right now. He's not struggling at the left side, right side, all 4 pitches, 5 pitches, 6 pitches at times. John's got it going on right now. He's putting the ball where he wants. And to me, he's the guy that you want to see start Game 1.
Yep. And I am in complete agreement. I go Lester Game 1. I go Hendricks Game 2. I go Arrieta, Lackey, the 2 games on the road.
Yeah, well, again, that's kind of breaking it down. But we'll see what ends up happening between now and the start of the postseason. We do still have some time, make sure everybody gets there. And one thing I know we haven't really talked about, we keep talking about this preparation and worrying about creating momentum and everything else, which are absolutely some of the most important things to talk about here because winning and losing isn't the premium or the front end of the conversation right now. Remember, you got to keep everybody healthy. We talk about getting guys rest. You want to make sure that you get there. You don't want to see injuries. You don't want to see anything happen. You don't want to see guys getting overworked or overtaxed or any of that other stuff that can potentially happen at this time of year. Guys have already been battling for 8 months, and you're getting ready for a long, long run. So you got to make sure that everybody's right where they need to be.
All right, there's your winner right there. Lester gets 58% of the vote. And he probably will be that Game 1 starter, I would think.
Yeah, I think so, too. And again, he's, like I said, locked in right now on both sides of the play. That's one thing I look at for John. If you get the Dodgers and we talk about all the lefties and however this ultimately breaks itself down, he's just, to me, he matches up well with the teams that are there right now in the conversation. And the way he's throwing the baseball, particularly at Wrigley Field, as is Kyle Hendricks. And I think the voting right there made your point. Kyle was a solid second place right there. And I think that we know how well he's done this year, obviously at Wrigley Field, that might actually be your your rotation.
Interesting. Over 20,000 votes you get in 90 seconds. That's how many Cub fans want to participate and are watching tonight. Excited. Cubs are National League Central Division champs. And again, 3 weeks from tonight, we'll have pre and post for you every game, the entire run, however long it goes, hopefully ending in a World Series. Now, here's Layla Rahimi with Cubs general manager Jed Hoyer.
So, Jed, it was all over the internet today. You got to watch the game from the bleachers. Cubs fans had a blast with it. What was it like for you? Because it also kind of speaks to the whole Joe Madden, enjoy the moment and really take it all in.
It was fun. You know, we'd always talked about if we clinched kind of early that we would go out there and do it. I think all of us, you know, sat out there and had a few beers when we were, you know, pre-Cubs days. You know, I think I was out there in '98 watching Sammy run around, and it was fun for us. You know, we got out there, you know, had a good time, different vantage point, but also just kind of enjoying it. You know, it didn't seem like a day to sit up in the box and watch the game. It seemed like a day to enjoy it, and we did.
From what I saw on Twitter, it looked like you guys were having a good time with the fans. What was it like just being out there with those guys who essentially, you know, you worked for to put this team together? Yeah, it was super fun, and they were really appreciative and really nice to us, and it's great. You know, I think that you know, it means so much when people come up and say thank you to, you know, Theo and Tom and me, and it just means a lot because ultimately it's why you do it. You know, we're competitive. We want to build a winning team, but you do it for the fans, and you know, looking out here and seeing this is really wonderful. You guys put this all together in the offseason. The expectation has been there from the very beginning. To be able to do it like your team has done it, essentially wire to wire, to be able to celebrate in mid-September, what does that say about what's gone on here? Yeah,
give these guys credit. You know, I think, you know, since the All-Star break, I think we've had 3 or 4 bad games out of a ton. You know, it was 8 weeks of baseball. To not have any blowouts, to show up every day and perform well, it's not just about talent, it's about preparation. These guys prepare. Give Joe and Davey and the coaching staff and then the players credit. They've been on a mission all year. You know, it's easy when you have a 10, 12-game lead to get complacent, and they never have.
What's it like to compare this to last season when the Central was obviously such a tighter race? And then also, you've been a part of a few of these plans now. Give me the background as well.
Yeah, you know, last year was so different. Last year we weren't expected to be there. It was sort of a magical run. We knew we were going to be the wild card team, but the division was kind of out of our control. It's been wonderful. Our goal going into the year is to win the division, avoid the one-game playoff, and we did that. And you know, I've never been a part of a team that won a division by a lot of games. You know, when we won in 07 in Boston, it was a pretty tight race. We pulled away pretty early, and like I said, give them credit for never easing off the gas. They you know, kind of sprinted through the finish line, which is wonderful.
So how do you take that extra 2 weeks now and not let off the gas and do even kind of what you did today, which is win a game when you don't necessarily have to?
Yeah, I think we'll do some of both. I think we'll ease off the gas a little bit with the pitchers, make sure they get their rest. But we got to stay sharp, and I think that's going to be a fine balance, and Joe and Theo and I will spend a lot of time talking about that. But everyone knows here, this is hopefully the first of 4 celebrations. This is fun, but this is not the ultimate goal.
Now, you told me that you weren't a singer or a dancer, but I think I have your alternative talent figured out.
Go ahead.
Party planner. I think you guys did this.
Yeah, this is great. This is a lot of fun. I'm definitely not. Theo went with the disguise. He's a disguise master. I'm not a disguise master, but no, this is wonderful. And like I said, you know, people say, you know, you shouldn't celebrate like this every time you win something. I totally disagree. Enjoy it. We're still playing a game. You know, it's okay to have, you know, goals along the way to your ultimate goal. And this was one of them.
Congratulations. Thank you for the time. Enjoy this party.
I will. Thank you.
All right, so check out some pictures as Holly's hitting me with the big blue fist there. So that's Jed Hoyer in the white, and then there is Theo in the blue hat with the fake mustache, the fake goatee. Unbelievable. Check that out. Is that awesome or what? That is so awesome.
Should have gone full beard, full-on beard. Today's game, he should have gone, you know, top to bottom.
Was he trying to be Bobby Valentine?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd go there if I were you, but yeah, that's a good one.
That's
what Bobby
so
B brought out into the dugout.
Right. Well, after he got kicked out, he came back in his disguise. That is so phenomenal. Love it.
A lot of fun. They should have, and well deserved. I'm glad to see them that they're enjoying what they've built, and they should. I mean, that's the thing. I think we always get this idea, even the players get this idea that the front office has got to be tight. They're the ones that make the decision. There's got to be huge separation between the front office and the players. That's not the case here.
All right, another guy we haven't heard from yet. He might win the Cy Young. Let's hear from Kyle Hendricks.
Sounds good.
you know, it started from day one. We had the expectations on us, like you said. Show just created a great environment, a relaxed environment. Basically, if you have expectations, that means you're playing for something. You must be pretty good. So we embrace it. That's the way we look at it. Especially with the guys, man. They all just so bought into winning as a team. That's really all we're trying to do. Coming in and day out, just focus on winning that game that day. So it's that mindset that's going to follow us all the way through October. So it's just the first step on the way to that.
Do you feel like competition maybe it's brought out the best in the rotation? Maybe also with like KB and Rizzo going for MVP. Do you think you guys down the stretch were able to kind of have that second boost of energy out of the break?
I think so, 100%. You know, all those guys are so close. You see it, KB and Rizzo. I think they feed off each other, push each other to another level. The rotation is kind of the same. You know, all of us are always trying to raise the bar for the next guy that takes the ball. You see one of your guys go out there and dominate. You want to go and do the same thing right after him. So it's been really special. I've learned a lot from the older guys in this rotation. They've helped me all year long, and I can't think of enough for it.
When you go back 2 years when you were acquired, could you envision not just the success of the team, but the success that you've had this year?
Honestly, no. You know, the point I'm at in my career, what last year, what happened this year, I have lofty goals for myself, but obviously not to the level I'm performing this year. So I'm just trying to soak it in, keep my feet on the ground, keep with the consistent work. Like I said, we got a long way to go still on this journey, so just trying to get my body healthy and ready. And as for the team, you know, I think everything has been accelerated. This was the plan always, and we knew we'd get to this point. I just think we need to be doing this.
You guys have won a lot of different ways, but was it almost kind of supposed to happen today that they could get a walk-off? It kind of feels right.
Yeah, that was kind of funny there. You know, I think the baseball guys were with us and said, let's win this one and go out with a high note to celebrate this win. But honestly, even if we would have lost this one, it's been the whole year. You know, and day in and day out, like I said, the hard work all the guys in this locker room put in. So we're just happy to celebrate that, you know, take a relief for a moment and enjoy this.
All right, stand by.
We've been on standby.
The Cubs are celebrating. They're having a good old time.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a few guys with hangovers tomorrow when they come back.
Probably more than a few.
Work. We'll look at another funky lineup like we did today.
Chance.
But they still have the business of having to seal the deal for home field advantage through the National League playoffs.
Well, but they've also got a cushion and a bit of a buffer. There's no reason for them not to enjoy this weekend.
Right, they're minimum 6 up going into tomorrow.
You don't have to manage this with the idea that we have to accomplish everything first, and then we just have to, you know, then we're going to give every guy's days off. That doesn't work like that. I don't think it's beneficial to the team right now. They've accomplished their #1 goal, which was to win this division. And as I've said, and I think Joe probably would agree with me, and I think it's his own game plan, the idea is that the week before the end of the season becomes now more important than this current week that we're in, because you're trying to make sure that your players are having their best at-bats, that they're game ready as they get ready for another layoff where there are no games and they wait for the DS to start. So that week does become very, very important. What's the most important thing around here? Is it the rest of the players, the preparation of the players getting ready, or is it making sure that you've got a certain number of wins? Well, you've also got a buffer as well. Take care of business, take care of your players. Winning this division was by far the most important thing that they wanted to accomplish in this conversation. Getting home field advantage, that's going to come next, and they're going to win some more baseball games. But again, to me, knowing that my players, my starters, my starting rotation is geared and ready to go by the end of the season that last week is by far the most important thing.
All right, Theo Epstein joining Layla.
You mentioned it earlier, but if I interviewed like this, would that be a better situation? What was it like watching?
Nah, it was fun out in the bleachers. I just did that in a last-minute, half-hearted attempt to stay, anonymous and watch the game. But it was fun. I mean, the whole directors in the department had a blast out there. It was a great vantage point and something that we've been wanting to do for a while, and we decided if we win the division, we'll do it the next day, so it was perfect.
Tom Ricketts mentioned the fans. Joe Madden has mentioned enjoying this moment. It looked like you guys were as well, so how did you take that to your own style and your own heart right there and enjoy the game like any fan would? Yeah,
it was fun to sit out there with the fans and watch it with them. They're such a huge part of our success. Day in, day out, bringing great energy to Wrigley Field, and it's no coincidence we've had such a good track record at home this year, because they really will us, like today, will us to these come from behind wins, and they're a big part of it.
We get the luxury of talking to you about this championship on September 16th.
Yeah.
To have your team do that so early on, especially given the Central last year, put that into perspective.
Yeah, I've never been part of a clinch this early, and I think it gives us a lot of advantages where we can make sure guys get rested but not rusty, and we can plan ahead a little bit. We have to wait and see who our opponent's going to be, and there's a lot of advanced scouting that goes on between now and then. But look, if you have to choose between sweating it out and clinching late or clinching early and dealing with that extra time, this is an obvious answer. We can get used to this.
Our job is to look back and to look ahead. How do you compare this to what happened for you in Boston, especially in the early years?
Yeah, it feels a lot like those early years, you know, where it's part of something that, you know, sort of built from the ground up, and that resonates, most importantly, resonates with a lot of people, and we feel their full support and a great bunch of guys that want to do something special that'll last, you know, through posterity, and most importantly, will just resonate with families and generations, and that's a lot of work ahead before we get there, but that's what's on everyone's mind.
Twitter star and Central champion president Theo Epstein, thank you for the time. Now back over to you.
All right, there's Theo, and so cool to see those guys out in the bleachers having a good time and celebrating, and you enjoy the weekend, and then it's crank it up and let's finish this off the right way.
Well, you heard Theo. I was telling you we should write that down. Because
relaxed and rested, not rusty.
Rested, right. Yeah, and I think that's exactly the approach that you're going to see. You know, balancing this next few weeks is not going to be that difficult to do. Joe Madden's done this before. Matter of fact, he does it all season long. We watch the lineups every day. We talk about it. Certain guys come in, certain guys
we come in sometimes, we're like, what kind of lineup is that today?
Right.
And then they go out and win.
I don't think this is as complicated as everybody, you know, thinks it is. I know it's been a very long time, and obviously we're talking about history here. I'm certainly not disrespecting that, but the point is that, you know, this is how Joe operates. I mean, there's a different lineup. He doesn't run out the same 8 guys day after day after day after day after day, which a lot of teams do and a lot of managers like to do. Joe doesn't believe in that. He believes in keeping his bench players engaged, involved, and ready to go, at the same time still providing rest for his guys. So it's maybe going to be a little bit more of that here in the next week, but not a lot. It's still, you got to give the guys their starts as well.
All right, another person who thought he'd be playing at this time, but he suffered a serious knee injury earlier in the year. Still a big part of that clubhouse.
There he is.
Right here. It was Kyle Schwarber bobblehead day today. Right there, Kyle Schwarber on the field. Check him out.
Kyle, I know more than anybody you want to be playing with these guys right now, but you have to be pretty proud of what this group has accomplished so far.
Yeah, it's been fun watching from the side. You know, just being able to watch these guys do their work every day, the preparation for game, just how they carry themselves. It's all been, you know, what you look up to, you know, as a younger player. You want to take after these guys and how they go about their work, and you know, this is a special group that we got here. It's fun to watch every day, and you know, that's why, you know, we are where we are right now, and we still got a long ways to go. But if we keep doing this, you know, things are looking good for us.
I know this was the first goal that you guys set out for in spring training, but to accomplish it and so early, what has impressed you most, and why was this group able to do it with all the expectations this year on their shoulders?
I mean, you know, you can start off with the pitching staff. Pitching staff's been unbelievable this year, going from top to bottom. You know, just going out there competing every day, throwing strikes, you know, giving it 100%. Then you go to our defense. I feel like our defense has played awesome this year. You know, Addy and all these other guys around him, just making the plays for these guys. And then you come to the offense where it's just like, man, you know, you don't have a break in this lineup. You know, I'm just sitting here from the side. I'm like, man, if I'm that pitcher, I don't want to be him right now. So, you know, it's like I said, it's just so cool to watch these guys go about their work and how they do it, and you know, it's been a lot of fun for me.
You're absolutely right about that, and you've been a very important coach on the sidelines this season. From your perspective now, what do you want to see in the next couple weeks, just so you know these guys feel ready, feel sharp and rested, and are healthy to go in October?
You know, it's all about still having fun for the game, and watching these guys have fun every day. It's a blast, and you know, you try to put a smile on the face, from, you know, here and there, but you know, I really don't want to see anything change right now. The way we're playing is just fine. And then I'm sure that we'll get some guys some rest here and there. But it's going to be a fun down the stretch and going into the postseason.
That's a terrific answer. And I would hear from the fans, if I didn't ask you, is there any chance they get to see you, Kyle?
They'll see me on the bench.
They'll see you on the bench. And you will be cheering your heart out, right? Kyle, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He's such a big part of that clubhouse, Holly, and dealt with this really tough knee injury and is rehabbing and moving well, and said to me the other day, he goes, when we get spring training, I'll be ready to roll.
Oh, he's definitely going to be ready to roll. I mean, I know that we all feel a little, obviously, a lot of sorrow for the situation. Certainly Kyle wants to be part of what's going on out there, but you can't change what's happened. So, again, he seems like he's in positive spirits, and that's just it. You just take each day as it comes and get yourself ready for the 2017 season and play that secondary role. He is that guy in the clubhouse that can be there, the go-to guy. Somebody needs to talk to somebody, whoever it is. You can reach out to Schwartz. Maybe he's that go-between. He's played that role very, very well, and he still has that smile on his face. He still has an important role to play on that team, on this team, and in that clubhouse, even in the postseason as well.
Another guy who plays an immensely important role, and his fingerprints all over the pitching staff. Let's hear from Chris Basio.
Congratulations, first of all. Does this feel a little bit different this time around, just given the fact that it is the middle of September and you guys still have 3 weeks to go?
Yeah, it does. But this is something that we've, like the cliche, put the pedal to the metal and tried to get this thing as quick as we could. Guys have worked really hard, concentrated day to day, and able to close this thing out early.
We've heard from Joe and so many others that really this season came down to the pitching and the defense, and you are such a huge part of that, the cog to the bigger wheel, but the pitching, in your perspective, what you have watched unfold this season, how proud of these gentlemen and yourself for what they've accomplished to this point?
It's a credit to the guys. I mean, they're the ones that prepare. It started in spring training, what the goal was to win a World Series, but we have to start with winning the division. Health has a lot to do with it. Training staff, medical staff, Tim Buss, Mike Borzello, Lester Strode, the way Joe handles these guys and treats these guys, and we've reaped the benefits. Front office has made the right acquisitions, the right trades, but we've worked together. We've worked extremely hard for this, and this is one step along the way.
Well, and Joe also made mention to the first guys he looks at when an accomplishment like this happens is the guys he does it with. You and Borzello, like you mentioned, and all the others, Lester Strode, and what it means to your families with your wife standing here, what the moment means and what it means in the bigger picture for you and your families.
It means everything. I mean, this is something that we put a lot of time and effort into the last 5 years. Cubs Nation, I mean, they're very proud. This means a lot to everybody. Again, it's just one step along the way. We're very humble on what we've accomplished, but we're also aware of what we have ahead of us. So the plan's in place. We've got this. Now we've got the division. Now we got to get home field, move on, and just trying to keep win ball games and get everybody healthy for the start of the playoffs.
You mentioned health. What's the biggest challenge in the next 3 weeks to giving your staff, especially those pitchers, the rest they need, but keeping them sharp at the same time?
It's a fine line. We got some time off, so we got to manage that, make sure the guys are getting their work at the same time, getting what they need. And then we'll work on the matchup stuff. We'll sit down as an organization and map that out. But right now we're going to try to enjoy the moment and finish out the regular season. And like I said, try to get this home field advantage.
Please do. And I know you were used to it as a player, I'm sure, but it's going to be pretty cool to have these guys chanting your name as well these days.
Well, they like it when I throw baseballs in the stands, so we got kind of a little rooting section in left field. So Cubs Nation's strong right now. They're happy. So we'll just have a great night tonight and keep moving forward.
All right. Well, enjoy this moment, like you said, and we'll hope to be talking much more in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks.
That guy is phenomenal. As you go through and you see his fingerprints on Jake Arrieta, who had an ERA way over 6.5, 660-something with Baltimore, and now he becomes this. Kyle Hendricks, who a lot of people, when the Cubs got him, said, hey, he doesn't throw hard enough, he doesn't do this. He becomes this. Just all these different, Hector Rondon off 2 serious elbow operations, a Rule 5 pick. He becomes elite. I mean, they're so... Pedro Strop had an ERA over 7 when the Cubs acquired him. And keep going.
Well, yeah.
Travis Wood.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, you and I told you early on when Boss came over that you were getting one of the better pitching coaches around. I mean, you know, a guy in his position and getting to know Chris over the years, he relates to the players particularly well. And what makes a great Major League Baseball coach, in my personal opinion, is the ability to relate to the players themselves where they're at. Don't do what I'm telling you to do. Let me see what you are and let me get to know you, and then we'll see how we can't make you better. Meaning his game plan with every guy on this team is a different game plan. He's not bringing in a script asking, you know, his pitching.
Everyone pitches this
way.
way.
Yeah, no, that's not what he does. And that's the great thing about him. He realizes that about them, and each guy has different strengths. I talked to a few of the pitchers about Chris Bosio, and they're telling me the same thing from that side. I'm always talking to Chris as much as I possibly can because I love to sponge his mind because he's got so many great things that he picks up on during the game. But when you hear it from the pitchers themselves, when they express it that way, he just gets the most out of me. He understands my mechanics. He understands how we're targeting, what we're game planning to do in this situation. And you hear them play it out in their minds. It helps us understand why we're watching one of the best rotations ever this year in not only in health, production, the bottom of the rotation, the top of the rotation, the competition, and all the Cy Young votes being split amongst Cubs starters this year, it seems like. And then you get to the bullpen, and you're right. I mean, it's been one constant success story after another.
All right, let's take a look at your keys to today's game.
We had a game today?
We did. We actually played today. Hard to believe.
I don't even remember how important these keys were. Goodness gracious, 10 hours ago. Go time. Well, here's the deal. The reserves got a bit of an opportunity, and the reserves came through with some big base hits. I think of Almore right off the top, my key performer. Outstanding job there. Change of pace, plain and simple. Talking about Chase Anderson, who's pitched about, I don't know, it feels like about 4 hours ago. Curveball changeup, those secondary pitches. Again, we saw it in game one. What the Brewers pitching staff, including the bullpen, did so successfully in hitters' counts. Now, Anderson was pretty good in this one. The curveball and changeup were big pitches for him as well. But the Cubs' offense was pretty decent against him. We were able to get 3 against him in 6. And then, obviously, number 3 is time to celebrate. We knew that this day was all about Cappy. It wasn't always about winning and losing. To me, it was about the reserves getting some opportunity and us getting to this great moment right now, which is covering this. It's been an absolute blast being able to kind of get back into the clubhouse and watch this team celebrate a successful 2016 season.
You know, it's funny, Miggy Montero was just talking to the media, and I was following on Twitter, and they said, have you thought at all that there was a chance you might not make the postseason roster? He said, there was a point in the season that I thought I was getting released. Yeah. That's how much I was struggling. To see where he is now, the way he's hit, it's very cool.
Well, he stayed with it. And again, every ball player who's got a lengthy career, and I know that Miggy's had one, he's had a very nice career, goes through a moment in their career where they have to survive. Like in their minds, they're not living up to everybody's expectations. And Miggy did that. He just absolutely kept staying with it and battling and battling and battling, and now you're seeing the success.
I'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
I think Monday.
Monday.
Thanks for watching Cubs Postgame Live, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Sportsnet Central with our Chuck is coming up
hey, man,
next.
You can leave me hanging?
And Pat Boyle.
You can leave me hanging?
See ya.
Come on, man. One more. Let's
buy some time with the fans, and the fact is, we've used that time with Theo and Jed and everybody else to build the best team in all of baseball.
Let it run!
If you feel like singing a song, and you want other people to sing along, just sing what you feel. Don't let anyone say it's wrong. When there's a light, what light? Well, there's a light, what light? Well, there's a light, white light.
Now that Big Papi's retiring, he's being smarter with his money.
I need to be smart with my money.
So he's become a super savvy shopper. That's why the Xfinity Best Offer of the Year is a home run. Lock in your rate for 2 years. Plus, get the X1 voice remote.
There is no crying in baseball.
It's the Big Papi of deals.
I'm not crying. My eyes are just sweating.
Score our best offer of the year on the X1 Triple Play from Comcast for only $89.99 a month and lock in your rate for 2 years. Go online, call, or visit today.
From the first building block to the last coat of paint, Menards is here to help with an 11% rebate on everything, even sale prices, so you can finish your latest project and start planning the next big thing. Update your kitchen and bathroom with an 11% rebate on Delta faucets. Save big on Clear Creek vinyl tile from Armstrong. Save big money and get an 11% rebate on everything, even sale prices, now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify.
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
Now playing on DirecTV Cinema before it's available on Netflix or Redbox.
In December 1977, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren experienced a phenomenon no one could explain. Witness the event that shocked the world. The Conjuring 2.
Movies start at Channel 120.